Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. We have results, we have exhibitions and games to talk about this week, and I know we're all excited to be able to actually talk about reality instead of conjecture as the week goes on with UofL women's sports with field hockey and women's soccer in action, and volleyball will be in action later on today with their red and black scrimmage. We'll have at least a couple of our crew there. I haven't decided whether I'm going to go down or not. I probably won't, but we got to have a good representation between Jared and Jeff will be there. So we'll certainly find out more about that on Sunday on Jeff's article. A crew of four in the house tonight, with Daryl being at the bats with her job. So we've got a case of me, Jared and Jeff, to bring you the broadcast today. As we like to do at the start of the show, let's kind of just catch up with the guys quickly and see what's going on in their world. Jeff was telling me a busy week at work for him, so elaborate, sir.
Yeah, same old, same old. It's fairly small company, so it's always busy. I think that's kind of a truism, but you know, we've been on this project that we're trying to get a new capability deployed, and we're getting very, very close, which is exciting. So work has been busy. On the personal side, I've got pretty much all the parts for the electronics work that I'm doing with my nephew's bottle rocket. So he's about bouncing off the walls in excitement too, I think. So start putting that together and writing some code for that. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be new territory for me.
You
I'm
guys got
excited. It's
rained out last Saturday, didn't you? Was there a
uh
plan on doing that?
no, we were gonna work on putting it together, which we did some of that.
Oh,
But yeah, it's not ready to fly yet. So it's
so
getting
said
there.
Orville to Wilbur. We're not
Yeah,
ready to fly yet, buddy. Okay.
yeah, it's getting there.
Did get a chance to see you Thursday night at women's soccer. Always
Yeah.
good to see you, have you in the house there, and certainly
Uh,
was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a very spur of the moment thing. I'd gone out to dinner and grabbed some dinner. I was like, man, it's actually a pretty nice day. I should go down and watch some soccer. And then I looked down and realized I was wearing a green shirt. So I ran back home, changed shirts, to get a UofL shirt on, and then went down there. So yeah, and it was fun. It was nice. It's just a touch on the warm side, but very pleasant. Um, yeah, enjoyed it. A couple of long trains. It was fun.
Always carry that spare shirt in the car, sir.
Yeah,
It comes in handy at times.
yeah.
Case was not with us. He was out of town for the game that took place on Thursday night, but I'm sure he's had some interesting anecdotes to share with us.
That's super interesting. Uh, I'm still trying to wake up. I guess it was on Pacific time all week, so it was a little disorienting.
That's always rough. It's just enough.
Yeah, we actually talked about. I had another friend who happened to be in California for work, and we were talking about how 3 hours is just the awkward time zone shift to be
Yeah.
away from like your family because there's never really a good time to talk during the work week. Um, we thought that maybe uh, we have a buddy who's had to travel to Germany for work. Thought surely that was worse, and he said, "No, 5 to 6 hours isn't that bad because you can usually line up a morning with an evening or with lunch or something." So, um, yeah, it
When you get
was.
to 5 or 6 hours, you can just force a reset, kind of a bodily reset on it. But if it's 3 hours, it's just enough that it's like you can't force a full reset, but it's still out of kilter. Yeah.
It was double weird for me this week because I could never get to sleep. I don't know why, but I ended up staying up till like 11:30 or 12 every day, and then getting up at 6 a.m. and then I don't know. It was definitely weird, but it was a nice trip. It was pretty warm in Reno. Actually, rained a couple of days. Um, so they were getting the monsoon uh, remnants
Oh,
from
I heard about that.
up from Southern California. So
Yeah.
uh, not too bad. But yeah, travel was surprisingly easy. No complaints there, but Didn't get to watch the soccer game. I tried to pull it up, but I think my work laptop was um, maybe blocking my ESPN TV sign in, and then
You don't
the
you don't travel with two laptops. I thought everybody
well,
did.
I had my iPad too, but the hotel Wi-Fi was desperately slow.
Uh,
So I thought maybe I'd use my hotspot on my phone, and then it was also desperately slow, and I was like, this is not gonna work out for me. So I just kind of abandoned that effort.
And it is, when I was younger, I had a hard time sleeping on the road as well. Strange bed, different circumstances, stuff like that. Now it's pretty much I can sleep anywhere unless it's a battlefield going on with rockets landing all around me. That might keep me awake a little bit, but other than that,
if you
once I
fall
get
asleep in the middle of the show, we're gonna have a problem.
well, there have been times, and then I hate to tell this on myself, at certain athletic events that I've
Yeah.
been to over the last couple of years where I found myself with my head in my hand, kind of leaning down, pretending like I was looking at the score on my tablet, but
Mhm.
the eyes were closing on me. Okay, so
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul's falling asleep in overtime on us.
Yeah.
yeah,
I have dozed in a athletic event in which I was participating.
well,
Pretty good defensive line, eh?
Yeah,
must have been a blowout, huh?
rec league soccer can get a little imbalanced
Yeah.
depending on the teams.
That's pretty funny. Hey, Kay, who's playing goalie? Case? No, he's asleep.
I was just leaning up against the post.
Who could I text now?
With a good enough defensive line, you could take a nap back there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder if I
I
could.
don't think the ball spent very much time in our defensive half that game.
You bet you're back there
much
watching
less anywhere
funny.
near me threatening.
You're back there watching funny cat videos. Oh, look at that! He's chasing himself around.
Not back then. Smartphones hadn't been invented.
That's true. That was your. God, I can't. Yeah, I can't believe you're actually old enough to remember that. Okay, good enough. Fair. I like it. Jared in house with us today. Jared been a busy man with the camera, of course, taking photos, and alerted me to the AC Milan team being right next to me Thursday night. Over there at women's soccer, they were in the booth reserved for dignitaries at Lynn Stadium. I guess you could consider them a dignitary kind of status, couldn't you, Jared? Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool that with them in town, even though they had already wrapped up their portion of play and were getting ready to head back home, that they made it out for a while to watch the match. And then also Rose Lavelle being there was another cool one, which I think her team may have still been playing or had just been knocked. I can't remember the status of that one, but when you have a lot of professional soccer players from uh, different countries and kind of around the U.S. there at a U of L game, I think it's well, first it's great marketing material, but also it's good for recruits. When you're out there on the recruiting trail, you're like, hey, look who came to see our match this week. Uh, and just being able to perform in front of some top tier international players. So I thought that was really cool that they made it out to the match.
I didn't really actually realize it was them until later on. I thought it might have been some kind of high school team that was up there watching or stuff like that. So I was glancing over at them with interest, and then when I found out it was Rose, I actually took the back of a scorecard and wrote in big block letters "Hi Rose" and held it up. And when she glanced over to see it, she saw it and she waved and blew me a kiss. And I immediately sent Jared over to get her phone number, but unfortunately, no, just kidding. There was she a fine young lass there. I do like her a lot. And as for me, yeah, the week has been the fairly humdrum, boring, except for I do go down and have some tests run on me at what we call Audubon Hospital here in town. And I want advice to anybody who's listening out there: do not, repeat, do not ever go through the Lexi stress test. Uh, it's one of several I had done on me. This is basically where they run an IV into your arm and say, instead of putting you on a treadmill and making you run on the treadmill until you are worn out, we want to see how your heart is doing under extreme fatigue. We have a drug we can inject into you that will make you very, very tired for a minute, and then you will come back. And they weren't lying, folks. They were not lying one bit. They put that stuff in my IV, and then about 10 seconds later, I felt like my lungs had collapsed.
Hmm.
And that lasted for about I'm going to say a good 30 seconds where I was really panicking because I wasn't getting no breath. It was like I'd just climbed 10 flights of stairs. But finally, it came back. But having gone through that before, I can say I've experienced it, I've done it, and I hope to never have to do it again because the Lexi stress test, stay away. Do not go. If they give you your choice, go on the treadmill. That's much better, I think. Oh well, that was my life for the last week. But we certainly have more interesting things to talk about than me going for lab work. Let's go ahead and get into some scheduling and Twitter information. And we'll let Case go ahead and bring us that with stuff on the schedule to talk about.
Yeah, plenty. And they finally added field hockey to the composite calendar. I checked that this morning just to be sure. The first thing that we have today, as we've alluded to, a few people running out to L&N Federal Credit Union Arena in the basement of the Student Activity Center down on campus, is the red and black scrimmage for UofL volleyball. That one is at 2 p.m. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. Always a good event. I think they do a good job of mixing promotion and practice with that one. Field hockey taking on Bellarmine tomorrow in their second and final preseason scrimmage. Could be third if they had a closed one, but second official preseason scrimmage. That one's at 1 p.m. at Traeger Stadium. Free admission over there. Don't know what the weather's supposed to be like tomorrow. Didn't check that, but if it's going to be nice, could head out there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, as they frequently are in the fall season, just because of the way that games shake themselves out with these sports. But they could get more busy later in the season. Thursday, men's soccer will open their season officially, taking on St. Louis. That's in a doubleheader with women's soccer, who plays their second game against Xavier. Men's soccer at 5 p.m., women's soccer at 7:30. That one is listed with a watch link in the schedule. So
I think I'm going to cut in on you there real quick, Case. I think that's also going to be their annual Hispanic Heritage Night as well. So there should be some performances by some Hispanic members and whatnot.
I think that's correct. Looking at Noche de Familia y Amigas.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw that promo on the scoreboard Thursday night, and I was like, oh, okay, that's Spanish. So there must be a Hispanic or Spanish theme going on there. So
yeah, I think they do. They have the cultural center events and things like that. So yes, that one doubleheader starting at 5. You don't have to attend both. I think both are free. Men's soccer is free this season as well. So just head out anytime after 5 and get to watch both teams.
That is going to be kind of a bear, though, if you're only going for women's soccer. And in my case, where I try to get in close and kind of park near or in a handicap area where I can get in the gate easy, with the women's having the second game, I'm pretty sure parking anywhere in and around Lynn is going to be gone with the men taking it all up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult. One that we haven't experienced, because like we talked about last week, I think this is the first time when they've done one of these double headers. Usually they're on Friday, so that's one difference, that this one's on Thursday, and the women are almost always first. So it'll be new for everybody. And I believe football, are they doing open practices this season?
I haven't seen much on that. No.
So if they are, then you'll have even more traffic to contend with down there as they get ready for the football season to start in the next couple of weeks. As we move to Friday, volleyball gets their season started officially. They're heading up to Vermilion, South Dakota. Don't know if that's how they say it in South Dakota, but not really sure how else you could. They're taking on Northern Kentucky at 11 a.m. on Friday. So that's, I guess, a 10 a.m. start there.
Yeah, but if it's listed on the Go-Kart site, it's probably listed in Eastern time. So
sure. Yeah,
10 a.m. for them on local time
them,
there. Yeah, correct.
And then they'll get a huge break because they don't play again until 8 p.m. when they take on South Dakota. Um, Splitting those, but not by much. Field hockey is taking on Bucknell in University Park, Pennsylvania, hosted by Penn State. That game is at 7:30 p.m. There is no video listed for that one. If it does end up on video, though, that would be on Big Ten Network Plus, which I'm pretty sure is a paid
Oh yeah.
premium site.
Oh yeah. They try to hit you up. Yeah.
Yeah. So may just have to catch the recap from that one,
Stat
or
tracker.
follow along on Sidearm. Yeah, Sidearm stats and see what you get there, or whoever they use. I don't know if that is determined by the sport or by the hosting university.
Host
Pretty
school.
much by the host school. Of course, we're on stat broadcast. I'm not sure what Penn State uses though.
So we'll just have to keep an eye out, and you could always follow along as we'll get to with the Twitter accounts. They'll tweet about those as they go, and then Saturday we'll be on the air again, but volleyball will wrap up their event in South Dakota, taking on Mizzou. So interesting little trio of teams to play there. As for the Twitter accounts that I mentioned, iTweet is at best case scenario, BST case scenario. Polly is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams. Jared is at Mr. Anderson Jared. Daryl is at Daryl Faust 4. And the right side of the Cardinal Couple website, cardinalcouple.com, keeps a Twitter list running that looks at all of the women's athletics accounts, as well as a few other accounts to follow along with.
And that it does. It does indeed. Make sure and catch that on a daily basis as it updates. And of course, always catch the daily articles at Cardinal Couple. Case had a really nice write up today of the field hockey game, which primarily we didn't have a whole lot to go on about this scrimmage. Finding information on it was kind of tough, but Case came through, and then certainly saw some other stuff in there too that kind of helped show what happened as the Cards traveled up to Miami of Ohio. Up there, a team that is in the same conference as Bellarmine as well, who we play next. Miami of Ohio, I think, is the preseason favorite maybe to win field hockey up there and I think that's the MAC. Am I right on that? The MAC conference, guys?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was because I was going to say AAC, and I say no, they're not in the AAC; they're in the MAC. But Louisville went up there to face Miami of Ohio, and as Justine Sowry kind of warned us in the media day that they had down at UofL on Wednesday, we're a young team. They certainly are a young team. They do have some veterans, but a lot of the team is young. As the Cards took a 2-1 win, where they had to go through regulation, overtime, and then two shootouts. Two shootouts before they could determine a winner. If it had been women's soccer, it would have ended in a 1-1 tie, as we well know. But no, field hockey still has the extra play. Maddie Tabor getting the winning goal for the Cards in the shootout to get us by a very pesky and very, very good Miami of Ohio shootout squad. In case I kind of expect a little bigger win by the Cards on this one, but they still at least got the W on the road, and that's always good.
Yeah, definitely not the result you expect. Victory is a victory, but I alluded to it in the article. Familiarity can have a really big impact on the way that you play against a team that maybe you think you should perform a little better against. But Miami's a pretty decent team, and Louisville has played them a lot. They return, I believe, looking at it, they returned quite a few more veterans than Louisville, or at least more regular players, I suppose, than the Cards did. So they had some more, to use the word familiarity again, more familiarity with themselves as a team, as well as having played Louisville in the past. Louisville's offense, like we talked about, we thought it might struggle with some of the losses that they suffered as far as players and roster go, but they were able to score 2 goals. Well, score 1 goal. Definitely would have liked to see more, considering the number of shots they had. And as I'm sure we'll talk about today, and plenty more in the future, the penalty corner lack of success, pretty rough. So they turned it into a win. Took two shots in the golden goal shootout to get there, but Maddie Tabor played the hero, and they got out of there. I said that Justine Zowry probably agreed to the full overtime sequence format, only because she expected that they would not have to touch any of it. But you know, they're gonna be a little bit, hopefully get some rest today while they watch film before they have to play Bellarmine less than 48 hours after that game against Miami ended.
We had some speculation on who might get the start in goal for the Cards, but Justine Sauer made it fairly clear in the media day that Sasha Elliott, our transfer in from VCU, was quite an experienced and talented player, and it led me to believe that she would get the start, and she did, and she played all 70 minutes in goalkeep for the Cards. The rest of the starting lineup here, Jared, let's just run it down real quick. We had Sophie Pendolino as a back. She didn't see a lot of time last year, but she did play some. We had a Kelsey McCrudden up on forward, and she didn't, hardly do anything at all. But was out there. Uh, Katie Schneider, who we well remember was a forward, and Maddie Tabor ran it to forward. So kind of interesting there to see how she kind of mixed some of the newer players in with some of the more experienced, Jared.
Yeah, as we've mentioned, it's a young team, and as Justine Zares mentioned, it's a young team, a lot of new faces. I think a lot of them are still just trying to use the collegiate style of play, learn the system, which does take some time. Justine Zary runs a fairly complex defensive system, so it's not easy for anybody to learn. So I get wanting to kind of incorporate some of your newer faces in with your veterans, just so you're not feeling as exposed. That way, in case there may be a miscue here and there, you've got some of your veterans who may be able to pick up some of the slack. Good way to do it, but you do need to get your players playing time and experience early on, just so they are going to be better equipped if the time were to come when they've got to play in a regular season match, which will probably happen at some point. Defensively, I'm still not too worried. As you mentioned, Sophia Pendolino's back, and she saw a fair amount of time last year. Should see an increased amount this year. India Reed should be back there again defensively. She's definitely been a pretty solid defensive player when you're going one-on-one against an opponent. Julie Cowhouser's back there still. Another really strong defender. So defense, not too worried. And having that veteran goalkeeper is nice. The offensive side, I think you need to let your veterans kind of power through and lead the offense, but they need to try and find some opportunities for the younger players going forward, because you've got a lot of senior / super senior with the COVID rules, and then you have a lot of freshmen. So I think there's a bit of a small gap in terms of your middle class players, however you officially call them. So you also have to not only prepare for this season, but you need to start preparing and building the program for future years too.
Julie Cowhouser, as you mentioned earlier, did not see any action in the scrimmage, which did kind of surprise me a little bit. She was actually one of the two players that was up there with Coach Sari in the media day, and so the way she talked and everything, she was looking forward to getting things started, and Coach was expressing a lot of confidence in her. So I don't know if she got injured in practice or what happened to her, but she did not play against Miami. We'll see if she comes back out for the Bellarmine contest. Some names that we'll all remember if you're a soccer fan. That midfielder, though, is Amy Plum was out there. Mia Dusters was out there. Kaz was out there. Amelia Kazmarkikin also. India Reid and Mena Tremonti all at the midfielder positions. As Sari went with 6 midfielders in this one. I found that formation kind of interesting, Jeff.
Yeah, that's a lot of people for. It's an 11-person squad out on the field, so it's like much like soccer. It's am I right on that? 11? Yeah. Um, that's a lot of people just to have in the midfield. I suspect a lot of them are ranging forward and backwards more than just staying in midfield. I mean, we see that in soccer a lot as well. With Karen Ferguson days, you got Raven Alexander in the back. He's frequently up front leading charges, even though she's technically in the back line. So, I suspect that's that gives us a lot of flexibility by moving people around and shifting offenses and shifting defenses. So that
After
would
one or
be
two,
my take on that.
after one or two, if that's just sidearm stats pulling that directly from the roster, the given
Sure.
positions, because I think that you would see the same weirdness with the Louisville soccer roster or a starting lineup, because they only list one back, 3 forwards, and 6 midfielders, and that doesn't seem like the structure that they would have played.
Right.
So just one of those weird situations. But you never really know. I don't know enough about field hockey positions and lineups to say that couldn't be feasible.
Yeah, and I don't know if you actually specify that in the lineup as to what position they're playing, like you would in a softball or baseball game, where you're explicitly saying, third base, shortstop, whatever. I don't know if they do that for lineups in sports like field hockey and field sports like field hockey, soccer, lacrosse. So it may, like you said, it may just be pulled from a roster listing that's saying, they're listed as a midfielder. So,
The actual stats of the game, and I'll just run through a couple of these real quickly with you all. Louisville had a definite shot advantage, 23-8 on the Redhawks. Shots on goal, they had 11 compared to 7 for the Redhawks. So the Cards a little more dominant offensively. It looked like the one that we've all kind of earmarked and pointed at and wrung our hands and quivered and shaked about was the corners, where Louisville received 7 corner opportunities compared to just 5 for Miami, and the Cards won a sparkling 0 for 11 from the corner. Not sure, maybe just first game exhibition, pregame kind of learning how to do this jitters and stuff, although I would have thought they would have practiced this fairly extensively before the actual Miami game. But hey, you know what, Jared? That's not a good look for us on corners at all, pal.
No, you definitely don't want to go in over when you have that many corner opportunities. That's, I'm like you said, I'm sure that's something that's been practiced plenty during their practice and training sessions. Uh, so I'm not sure if they were just trying out different. I don't want to really call them plays, but formations with the corners, just seeing what may be more effective or what shows more promise, or maybe uh, the attackers that receive the corners, maybe there's just some issues with accuracy. You always look at the chance that there could be kind of a goofed up uh, kind of feeding opportunity where somebody's got to stop the ball and maybe they don't stop it properly or it kind of ricochets. Without being able to see it, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly caused some of the faults there with the corners, but hopefully we'll see that improved for tomorrow and then once the regular season starts.
Jeff Walsh, or excuse me, I'll go to you next on this. The case that we also saw one of the freshmen that Coach Sauer and both the players that were at the actual fall sports day mentioned as a freshman to watch, and one that they liked a lot in Izzy Bianco, where she actually saw 42 minutes, ended up taking 3 shots as well, including 2 on goal, which was second highest on the team for that game for shots on goal behind Katie Snyder. So a good effort from Izzy.
Yeah, and she actually played more minutes than 4 of the starters. So she was definitely getting a lot of run out there. That we've seen Louisville have a lot of success with freshmen in field hockey. It's a sport that really good players can adapt to the change from high school to college really quickly. So to see her have a lot of success, she actually had more shots than any player on Miami's team, and like you said, tied for third behind Plum and Schneider. So a good effort. She wasn't able to put any of those in the goal, but neither was most of the rest of Louisville's team. So you'll take what you can get with causing havoc uh, there on offense, and hopefully can convert some of those shots, of which they had 23. Only 11 they put on goal, so not a great percentage there, but convert more shot opportunities into goals. But you have to take the shots to make the shots. So good to see a lot of effort there from the Cards.
So, just to kind of wrap up field hockey a little bit, a win on the road, which is always good in preseason exhibition, first time out. You like that. You're not coming home with a loss. You bring in Bellarmine on Sunday. Of course, the Cards have played Bellarmine several times over the past couple years, usually always in an exhibition type of capacity. Even though Bellarmine is now Division One, they're still treating this one as kind of an exhibition game. I don't expect the Cards will have a lot of trouble with Bellarmine on Sunday, and there's a good chance, I think, guys, that Coach Salary may go a little deeper into who she's got on the bench to see who's out there. Whether Sasha plays, the entire 90 minutes in that one or not, we'll have to wait and see at goalkeep. But I think it'll be a little easier go for Louisville against Bellarmine on Sunday. So if you're listening, come on out. It's always fun to watch Louisville field hockey. And it's a brand new turf and a great scoreboard where I can finally see it now across from the press box. And Jared promises to try and take on the new sprinkler system as well at halftime to see how far he can be shot across the field by the force of rushing perfect water. Right.
Yeah, depending on the weather, might need a shower there at halftime.
There you go. You just might have to get cleaned up. Let's go back to Thursday night where the Cards were in Lynn Stadium and started the regular season. As I put in the article, they doused the UIC Flames 3-0 to open their regular season. UIC, of course, standing for University of Illinois Chicago. And the Flames came in here. The first half was the story. The Cards scored all three, and their goal was in that first half. And I was impressed with the way they looked in the first half, Jared. But the second half was average, I think.
Yeah, you do need to account for that she subbed a lot more in the second half, a lot of newer faces, different looks going on. So a lot of players still trying to get a feel for this level of play. So I'm not as concerned there. I thought there was a couple scoring opportunities there in the second half that they just didn't capitalize on, and I thought there was definitely at least one or two open goal opportunities that the Cards missed in the first half. One of those was a point blank range miss, kind of off of a across from the box there.
Or was that
Uh,
Raven? Or I can't remember who that was.
I think the assist was going to be Raven, and then the goal was Morgan, and she just
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
chipped it over the crossbar. I
It's like
think a lot of that is your early season jitters, getting a little antsy, wanting to score, and then you don't slow the game down and think about what you're doing, and you just rush it. So it happens. Uh, Not overly concerned. The chances are there. I think you just have to learn how to finish. I still think the team needs to communicate a lot better out on the court. It's still fairly quiet on Louisville's side there, which you don't want to see now that we are in regular season. You should have at least somebody up there kind of taking charge, commanding the players out there on the pitch. Hopefully, we'll see somebody step up and do that because you're going to have a lot of intercepted passes when you're not communicating, as well as just missing an open player here and there. So hopefully, we'll
uh,
see that change.
I think Morgan wanted the ground to rise up and swallow her and sink her after missing that wide open chippy because there was nobody there except Jared taking photos behind the net, and she put too much of an arc on it, and it went way over the goal. But so a good try anyway. The Cards actually in kind of a deja vu sequence from the Cincinnati exhibition got their first two scores from Carson Cherry and also one from Macy Whitsett. And if you'll think back to the last or the previous contest, those were the two that scored at the exhibition win over Cincinnati. Uh, that did get broken though with another goal in the third goal for the half when Autumn Weeks, who came to Louisville from the IUPUI, knocked in the third goal to give the Cards a substantial 3-0 halftime lead. I know, Case, you didn't get to watch it too much, but Jeff, you were out there and saw it. I was expecting a few more goals in the second half, but was certainly happy with the first half performance.
Yeah, certainly it was a high paced opening to the game. 2 goals within what 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes, another near the end of the half, but then like the second half became well two things: defensive intensity was just amazing, but also just a bajillion offsides calls. So it had to be frustrating. Maybe I don't know how much excitement and jitters, but it had a lot of offside calls in the second half, and a lot of them were not even close. So that was a little concerning to see some of that. A little bit of a worry about need to kind of get that cleaned up a little bit, but. Yeah, certainly expected a much higher pace given the opening of it, but settled down and had a good match the rest of the way.
Case, we have talked about the Cards' increased speed this season. Certainly, maybe with 8 offside calls. Maybe that speed is 7 of them in the second half too. That was the amazing part of it. That speed needs to slow down maybe a little bit here, huh?
Or use the speed and not the position. You know, it can easily come to a point where a lot of offsides calls, and not having watched them, can be bad luck. Maybe somebody just, I don't know, maybe a defender stepped off right at the right time, and kept or put someone offsides, or someone just happened to get caught up or something, or they can be the result of being over eager. You think you've got a good through ball set up, and you're going to run through. Takes a step or two too long for that pass to come, and then you're offsides. That goes back to some of the communication issues that Jared was talking about. They've still not fully gelled offensively. It's more a new look offense than it is a new look defense, and they're still trying to figure out exactly how that's going to work out. And even with the consistent defense, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to play the ball forward if some of those offsides come from the back. So the communication will be a big part of it, continuing to play together, getting their formation nailed down, getting their positioning and how they want to play sorted out to prevent you from, getting caught offsides just because someone didn't pass it early enough, or because you didn't realize they were going to play a through ball and you didn't hustle to get back onside or whatever that is. It's unfortunate, but when you end up taking 18 total shots and you get 10 corner kicks with that kind of offensive dominance, keeping the ball in the opposing half, you're going to very frequently end up with a lot of offsides just because of the volume of time that the ball spends in a situation where you could easily be caught offsides. So 7 or 8, is a lot, but 10 corner kicks and 18 shots is also a lot. So they spent a lot of time, like I said, in the offensive half, and I think that they'll clean that up. Not something to be too concerned about given the rest of the game state.
The Cards allowed a mere 2 shots, none of them on goal by UIC, which when you combine that with the 1 shot they allowed Cincinnati in the exhibition, the defense is doing some pretty spectacular things right now so far. Uh, Obviously, they are going to be tested a tad more, though, when they take on number 24 in the nation, Xavier, next. Yes, the Xavier Muskies are actually ranked right now, and they'll come into Lynn on Thursday night, a Musketeer squad that also played on Thursday night as Louisville did. They got a 1-0 win over a Western Kentucky squad up in Cincinnati. That Western Kentucky squad, it's always given Louisville their fair share of headaches in the past. I think they were able to knock off though the Hilltoppers up on their field on the northeast side of Cincinnati on the Xavier campus. Uh, so, Jared, this is going to be a toughie with Xavier coming in rank squad.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be their first true challenge of the season. You kind of got a lot more going on at the stadium as well as we mentioned. There's the doubleheader as well as the Friends and Family of Hispanic Heritage Night going on. So there's a few extra distractions that are going on as well. So staying focused is going to be key. You just gotta kind of block off everything that's going on in the stadium and around you. Just really focus on what's going on the pitch. We've already mentioned multiple times you've got to communicate. Once you get to some of these higher level teams, if you're not communicating, they're going to roll all over you. I think offense has hit some really good looks so far. Defense has been sound and structured. They'll see a little bit more pressure with a stronger group in Xavier than they have with Cincinnati or USC. So I think we're going to see a much more evenly matched game that could potentially swing either way, and you hope that maybe the crowd can help factor and get momentum staying with Louisville.
Hopefully, some of the people who come for the men's game will stay around and also yell in support for the women on Thursday night as well. We certainly hope so. Jared and I did catch up with Coach Ann, Macy Woodson, after the game. We even got a train to come by to give us a little bit of background challenge, and also they refused to turn down the music up in the press box. So challenging conditions, yes, to do a post game interview, but both Coach and Macy came through with flying colors and did well on it. And Jared and I were actually rushed down to the field to do these, and what is a rarity that we've experienced in women's soccer. We did not have to wait 10, 15 minutes for Coach Ferguson Days to finish talking with her coaches and the team and stuff like that. Our new SID said, we're going to do this thing fast. And he was actually motioning for Jared and I to come down on the field while we were still in the press box backing up, packing up our things and getting ready to go down there. So that was a nice kind of change of pace to actually get down there, have a brief minute to catch my breath, and then all of a sudden here comes Coach for an interview. So we like that. That's very good. And I was a little bit surprised that they went it that way, Jared, but I don't know if it was something that our new SID kind of requested of Coach or whether it's something Coach wanted.
I'm thinking maybe Matt just wanted to try and get the post game done, get the quotes done, get back up, and they have to type their recap too and upload pictures and videos. So when you have a lot of interns and you're still training some of those new interns, maybe he's just like, look, the quicker we can get this stuff done, the quicker I can get back up there and help all my new folks out and show them what to do. So, but for you and I, just having those extra minutes was really nice. I had to be at work quite early the next morning, so every minute that I can get out there quicker helps.
That was nice indeed to have that. And so, look, with two sports kind of wrapped up here in succinct, well, let's go to the one that's going to get underway today with an exhibition, and that is volleyball. Jeff has been bouncing up and down in his chair waiting for this one since the start
Yeah,
of the show.
for sure.
So let's go ahead and start with you.
Let's say I've been bouncing up and down in my chair waiting for this one to start since April.
and that chair is going to need an overhaul if he's been doing that since April. Okay, but yeah, the red and black today, always a fun event. It's a free event. I'm sure it'll be packed in there. Just some of your thoughts on that one, Jeff.
Yeah, it is free, but it is. They are doing air quote tickets. I don't know how seriously that's going to be. It is first come first served for them, which is part of why I'm going to be making a mad dash out the door as soon as we're done here to be able to make sure and get down there. Keeping in mind what happened during the spring exhibition season play when there were several hundred people in a line out front that weren't being let in because the place was full. I was also just
Look,
looking.
Jeff, hang on. Before you continue, don't act like you won't be able to get in if there's a line. People will just wave you into the arena.
I don't know that. But
You can always use the media bully.
Uh-huh.
yeah, maybe. But I
Jeff,
can probably.
gets to go through the special line that's for like the friends and family, like will call tickets.
I do sometimes get on the pass list for away matches, but
They won't let anybody else in the arena until they let Jeff
Till
in.
Jeff
Just
did.
walk forward and say,
Right.
media, excuse me,
yeah,
pardon me.
I mean, I
Hey,
could
hi, how are you doing, media?
probably pull that off. But yeah,
Ushers are gonna kick people out of your seat.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah. Just find Tom Curley and you'll be fine.
yeah, true. Yeah, but I was also just looking at the tickets for the Notre Dame match at the KFC Yum Center, and because I hadn't ordered mine yet, and guys, there's a lot of tickets sold already for that, and that's late season. Um, so this is becoming a hot ticket event. Volleyball is in general. So if you're going to go down, I would suggest getting down there early to make sure that you can get in and get a seat. I think so. In spring there was the big JVC tournament going on at the fairgrounds, so that brought a bunch of people out. We're not going to have that situation here today, so there's probably a better chance of being able to get in without too much trouble. But just to be sure, we heard this past week, 2 weeks ago, about season tickets. There's like a 350 plus long waiting line for them at this point. Sold out season tickets. Single game tickets will be available throughout the season. I don't know how many. May not be many, but there will be some available. But again, those are first come, first serve, and they may be standing room only at this point. So, but anyway, today, Red and Black Scrimmage, it is always a fun event. It's always a little loose. It's always a little fun, um, stretching some things and, being a little loose on some of the rules sometimes, players switching teams, all kinds of craziness. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good chance for everybody to kind of get a preview of what the team's going to look like. We have a pretty good sense of what that's going to be. We know of 2 real position battles happening right now with setter and middle blocker positions. So it'll be interesting to see how the players that are involved in those show up and represent themselves. I think probably the rest of the starting lineup is fairly well set in stone at this point. Always an opportunity, but the veterans coming back are likely going to be in those positions. We're pretty confident on that. It's a lot of fun just to kind of visit. I don't know how much time there's going to be to visit with the team afterwards. I know there is an event afterwards for Booster Club that I will be going to, but I don't know how much they'll have just a more open environment for people to participate in. But come down, watch some fun volleyball. In the past couple of years, I think they've mostly done what we expect to be starters versus reserves. But that doesn't always, particularly with this team, doesn't always guarantee it's going to be a blowout of a match. Those can still be pretty close because we don't drop off much after our starters. So, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but, partly because I'm really excited about it.
From the team from last year, gone are 2 first-team All-Americans and Tori Dilfer and Anna Stevenson, which you never really you never really want to see them go, but they graduated and they're gone, and they did great things here. The Cards are bringing back in, though, quite a bit of talent. And Anna DeBeer, obviously, an outside hitter who I'm just enamored over and in love with. Eichel Jones, Elena Scott's back, too. Maya Tillman is back, and Claire Chaussee. All very integral parts of this team last year. Coming in off the bench to maybe try and grab a couple of these starting roles. Fikran Khan, they call her PK in the middle. And she certainly, I think, from all reports and actions that I've heard on her, somebody who could step in and be an impact in the middle. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, Raquel Lazario. Take it over for Tori Dilfer. She comes into us from being the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year when she was out on the left coast and now here on campus to try and give the Cards a good year as a graduate at that position, that setter. Jared, should be fun, and you'll be quite busy, I'm sure, getting photos of all the players in action.
Oh yeah, and the Red and Black scrimmage is a lot more relaxed. Everyone's having more fun, smiling. It's a lot easier to get some of those smiling and happy pictures. Which, granted, last year going undefeated, there's plenty of reason to smile each match too. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be one of those nice, relaxed matches. It should be a good crowd. I'm gonna make sure I wear a t-shirt and shorts and prepare for
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
not pleasant HVAC unit, and maybe one of these days I'll have industrial size fans down there for the players at least. As they are dripping and pouring in sweat down there on the benches. It's kind of scary to see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always warm in the L and NFC. Yeah.
yeah, you can heat up in there for sure.
Yeah.
In my just brief experience of a couple games in there too, I was kind of like, man, this is hot, and I don't normally get too hot at facilities, but so Case, we're looking at a squad here though that returns the vast majority of what they had. It'll be interesting to see how Danny and Dan kind of divided up to see who is playing against who at what times and then what switches are made. I'm particularly excited to see what happens to a newcomer to the team and what they'll do with her, though, Case, in Sydney Shetland, who played basketball last year, will be on the volleyball squad this year. As Danny pointed out on Media Day, she hasn't played volleyball in 2 years. Don't expect a whole lot of her, but she can certainly block shots. I'll be interested to see what else she can do, sir.
Yeah, and she's playing. She plays a position that is one of the biggest question marks on the team, like we've talked about. Um, Two front line. I don't know if setter's really a front line position. Probably
She's a
not.
middle blocker, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
I'm saying the two front line positions that
Oh yeah.
have to be replaced so much.
Yeah.
The critical middle positions, I guess you could say.
I
She
was
plays
thinking
one of
she was
those.
an outside. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so a lot of opportunity there for her to try and step in one of those roles. Louisville may be playing a fair amount of musical chairs in that position, especially today, trying to see exactly what they have. But yeah, she'll be interesting. And you all talked about it last week. I guess I missed the news. So she is officially no longer two sport. She is
Not
dedicated
listed
to
on the
volleyball.
She's not listed on the basketball roster.
Yeah, she is volleyball dedicated, and certainly I think that just my opinion on it, but if she had it all to do over again and rethink the position, she may have come in and just said, I appreciate the offer, Jeff Walls, but I think I'm going to just stick with volleyball. But,
You say that, but I
yeah,
mean,
and yeah,
Was she gonna
year,
get
she was
playing
gonna-
time last
she was
year?
gonna- she was going to be sitting anyway.
yeah.
Well, she also got to go to 2 Final Fours last year.
Yeah.
So she was, even though she wasn't playing, she was still living a pretty good life right there.
Yeah, she didn't officially go with the team for volleyball, but
I think she gets a ring though, correct? A Final Four ring.
I don't think so because I don't think she was listed as being on the team.
No, she wasn't listed on the
Oh,
squad.
Yeah.
so she
I doubt
doesn't
she
get credit
does.
for it at all. Ooh.
No.
If I'm not mistaken on this, didn't she and PK play together in high school, Jeff?
They they went to different schools.
They did? Okay, I thought they were on the same.
They both list Washington.
Oh no, they went to the same school. That's what it was. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
They went to. It was either they went to different schools and played on the same club, or went to the same school and played on different clubs. But yeah, they have played together.
I think she would have been. Looks like PK would have been a senior. Or no, I guess they would have played together for 2
same
years
year,
because Sydney's a redshirt freshman, so would have played together for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see what develops down there with that going on today. And I think another one of the things that I'm going to be looking forward to is, when our head coach, and obviously, with a plethora of players that she could have brought to the actual media day presser, Danny basically decided to, you know what, I'm going to bring in a couple here maybe that you may not expect, but I think they're going to do a very good job for me in this. One was Elena Scott. Handled herself excellently in the media breakdown and talk, and also Claire Chaussee was there as well. Who?
No, Claire wasn't there. It was Amaya.
Who?
Wasn't it?
Oh, Amaya Tillman. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it was Amaya Tillman. Excuse me. You are correct. Amaya Tillman was there, who seemed a little. I know they're talking about her more and more of a leadership and a growing role and a vocal aspect for the team this year, but she seemed just a little bit. I don't know if we would call it shy or
She's soft
nervous
spoken.
or.
Yeah, she is soft spoken in general.
Yeah.
She is very insightful, very intelligent, and caring, kind person, and she is. I think her leadership style will be more of a quiet leadership style than someone that's a little bit more out there. Troy Dilfer was very up and out and vocal. Aiko is a very charismatic person, very out there. Amaya is a little more reserved, a little more behind the scenes, and that's but that can be a very effective leadership style when you're taking people aside privately and saying, hey, let's talk about this. Let's can be very useful, and I think that'll be more her approach and her style of that.
We'll certainly look forward to see how she's fitting into everything as well with this. So, don't gather a whole lot from what happens out there today, would be my suggestion and advice to the fans attending, because there is going to be some substitution going on. And as Jeff mentioned, there's going to be some lessening and lightening of some of the rules and things that they do out there. It's basically just a chance for them to get in a nice little scrimmage here against each other and give the fans a chance to see it. And I think everybody who's a volleyball fan has been waiting for that for quite a while, for sure, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so for like officials, they'll usually have two officials. They'll have an up and a down. And the two that usually come out for this have been fairly close to the program over the years. I think they're based in Louisville, and they're usually line judges, so they're kind of playing up, air quotes on that, into a higher level positions than they usually. But they usually don't have line judges, so like in and out on the baselines can be a little bit, hey, call it yourself sort of approach to it. But it's a scrimmage, and it's good natured and a lot of fun, so they can pull that off. So that's where things sometimes get a little loose in a red and black scrimmage, is that approach to things.
Very high school tennis of them.
Yeah. It is
outs.
kind of, yeah.
No actual listing of any type of internet, so obviously not on ACC Network Extra, but
No,
I think you can certainly follow Twitter and get some updates and stuff like that. We might even get to see them, the elusive Jeff tweet on this one a little bit. You never know. It'll happen. But since the couple of the guys have got the boot, scoot, and boogie after the broadcast, let's go ahead and jump right on into final thoughts right now so they can get out of here and get over there. And let's go ahead and start, I guess, with you, Jared, on final thoughts.
I'm just living my best life right now. Honestly, we've got sports back again, and I'm out there with my camera taking pictures, so I can't complain.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it was what you've waited for all summer, and it's here now, and you're taking a part of it in. And I'll
Thank
kind of
goodness.
jump in here, yeah. And I'll agree with you too. It was an eventful summer, and a lot of great things have happened so far this summer that weren't actually event related. But now we do have events, and we're back into it. So I'll kind of second what Jared says. It's nice to be going back into the venues. It's nice going back in and seeing what's happening, to seeing old faces, to meeting new people, to just being out there and watching an actual fall sport participate in things. I'll get to see it again tomorrow, obviously with field hockey. The guys will get to see it today with women's soccer. It's back. What's the old moniker? We're back. They are back, and you owe it to yourself to get out there and watch some of it, because there's certainly some very good squads out there that we have participating in fall women's sports, guys. No doubt about it. Jared, what you got for me, man?
You already got me.
Oh, I just did, Jeff. I'm sorry, I was scratching off my list. Jeff, let's go to Jeff.
Yeah, like we said, obviously I'm thrilled that volleyball is back. That's been exciting. I've been able to make it out to a couple of soccer games, which is probably on par with what I normally do for a full season for soccer. I don't usually get out to see those very much, but I've been out to a couple, partly just because the weather's been great for it. So I'm already kind of in that mode a little bit, which is great. But obviously super excited for volleyball. This is going to be a really good team this year. There's a lot of talent. I mean, they were a really good team last year, but I think they're going to be again. So, the bandwagon is already pretty full but jump aboard. There's always room for more. Well, it's more on the bandwagon, not necessarily at L&N. So
Yeah. There's room on the bus, but once you get to the actual facility, there may not be room for you.
right,
There
exactly.
you go. That's a good way to round it up.
Get there early,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
is,
Get there in there early. I mean, go line up now.
yeah. Doors open at 1 today.
So there you are, Jeff. You'll just have enough time to run by and pick up Mom and get over there, won't you?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Make sure you don't wear a green shirt.
Yeah. I got on the volleyball shirt actually, so I'm good. It's black, but
there you go. You make sure you're dressed properly. Case, what you got for me?
Yeah. I guess just to echo what everybody's been talking about. Unfortunate that I keep missing UofL women's soccer games. So it was one of the things I was excited to be moving back into the city for to get out some more of those. But I'll miss this week's as well. Hopefully, it should be one of the last ones. I haven't checked the schedule too hard. I might be on vacation for one of them too. So maybe we'll surprise a bunch of people and get to host some postseason games to make up for the ones that I've missed during the regular season. But I'm excited to get back out there and see more games and maybe try to make my way to some of the other fall sports this season as well. So very excited, like Jeff and Jared have said, to have UofL athletics to be active and rooting for again.
That's right. We're back. We're excited about it. We hope you are too, and hope that you'll get out and join us at some of the activities that the women's fall sports squads will be taking part in. So basically, the clock on the wall tells me it's a minute past noon. So let's get it all out of here, and we'll catch you next week at 11 a.m. Unless you know something we don't, for another edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Everybody have a